Now then, in this video we're going to look at using your Xero down clothing inside your sleeping bag. What I'm talking about is using the Xero down jacket with Xero down trousers or Xero Salopettes plus Xero socks for your feet, and just how much warmth, if you were to wear that inside your sleeping bag, just how much warmth would it contribute to the bag? Well, there's a couple of things to consider here, but the first of all is that temperature. Just how much added warmth does the clothing system give you? And for the Xero clothing, it's 26 degrees centigrade. So added warmth to a sleep system, in other words, if you're using clothing combined inside with your sleeping bag, the added warmth you're gaining from the Xero clothing is 26 degrees centigrade. So if you look at the warmth of your sleeping bag and add to that the warmth of your clothing system, top, trousers and socks, add those two together, you've got an indication of your sleep system rating, how warm that system is. Now, there is one other factor that's really important. I'll put it out of the way, and that is the size of the sleeping bag. This sleeping bag is a wide sleeping bag, and to accommodate the size of the Xero clothing, you need to go up one size further on the width of a sleeping bag. So if you normally have a standard, you have to go up to a wide. If you just have a look, just looking at the size and bulk of this expedition equipment, the size and bulk of this Xero clothing, you need a bigger size bag to accommodate it, and that's because you have to allow the full loft of that clothing to get that added warmth at its maximum potential. Now, if we look at the temperature rating of the Xero clothing put together, so it's giving you an added warmth of 26 degrees centigrade. If you look at the temperature rating of a large expedition sleeping bag, it's sort of bag that weighs a couple of kilos, you're into the area of a sleeping bag that might be taking you down to minus 45, minus 50 even. So if you add that, if you use the Xero clothing inside a full-on expedition sleeping bag, you're getting into full sleep system ratings of into the minus 70s, which is far too warm actually for most of our high altitude mounting expeditions. So you've got a system that's too warm and too heavy. You're going to be taking high altitude clothing with you, so why not look at using the warmth of the clothing that you're wearing on the mountain and using it inside a sleeping bag, but going with a much lighter sleeping bag. That's the advantage of a sleep system, layering up, using the clothing, using the down that you've already got with you in the clothing and adding a sleeping bag to it, using it inside the sleeping bag to get the correct amount of warmth that you need, but in a much lighter package. And that's where you would use something like this sleeping bag. It's a Xero, it's a Hispar 600, a Hispar 600K, this one. And it's rated at minus 21 degrees C, not warm enough for high altitude mountaineering, of course. But if you use it with the high altitude mountaineering clothing, the down clothing that you've got inside it, then you've got a really good sleep system and far, far lighter. The Hispar 600 in its wide version, it's around about a kilo in weight. So you've saved a kilo in the sleeping bag that you're taking, and also you've saved a lot of pack size in your rucksack. And as you know, rucksack space inside a rucksack is at a premium. So a sleep system here is what is really is a very interesting way to go with high altitude mountaineering. But the two critical factors to know and to record here is, first of all, the added warmth of the Xero jacket and Xero clothing, and that is 26 degrees centigrade added warmth. Okay, so you're adding 26 degrees centigrade of lift to your sleeping bag. And the second critical point to always bear in mind on this system is the bag has to be big enough to allow the Xero clothing to fully loft inside it. So you need one size wider. So if you've got a standard size fitting, you need actually to go with a wide. If you would normally use a wide size sleeping bag, you need an extra wide, and so on. Okay, so those are the critical details for using the Xero jacket and the Xero clothing inside a sleeping bag. Cheers.